Bueno. Uf. Compartir las pantallas. Ajá. Bueno, vamos a ver. Es una cosa misteriosa, joder.
Bon après-midi. Good afternoon. I'm very pleased also on behalf of the FMA President Hans-Gert Pöttering to give you the welcome to the 7th virtual appointment of Librorum, the event dedicated to the presentation of some books chosen from those published by our members in the FMA library. I inform you that the interpretation is available in English and French by connecting through the Zoom link. I am Monica Baldi, Vice-President of the FMA, who created this initiative, born last year on the occasion of the celebrations of the 20th anniversary of our association. After the success of the past meetings, today we present the first book published by FMA, Overcoming the Pandemic, which was printed by the Historical Archives of the European Union and edited by me and by the coordinator of the Equity and Health Commission of the Women 20, Professor Flavia Franconi. The presentation is entrusted to the FMA Treasurer Jean-Pierre Audy, and the debate is moderated by the FMA Secretary Teresa Riera Madurell, who will first of all give the floor to the co-authors, whom I thank for their participation and their important contribution to the publication. Thanks in particular to the President Enrique Baron Crespo and to the authors that I see here present, Isabella Susi De Martini, Fabio Campani, Ambassador David Puiana, Flavia Franconi, sure, Vitaliano Gemelli, Elvira Marasco, Cristiana Muscardini, Pasqualina Napoletano, Eleonora Pecchioli, Manuel Porto, Teresa, for sure, Enrique Carlos Rodriguez, and Jessica Wijaja from Indonesia. This book is a compilation of the proceedings of the International Conference How to Overcome COVID-19 Pandemic and its Consequences, organized on 23rd September 2021 by Women 20 and the former member association in collaboration with the Historical Archives of the European Union on the occasion of the Italian Presidency of the G20. The volume includes also notable contribution by eminent personalities representing the world of institutions, politics, culture, and science. The book has already been successfully presented at the 60th Risk Management in Healthcare Forum in Arezzo on November 30, 2021, and at the Biblioteca delle Oblate in Florence on February 22nd. I would like to thank all those present, and in particular, let me say, the President of Women 20, Elvira Marasco, who was together with us the promoter of the conference held in Florence, which kicked off the interesting recommendations that are highlighted today. I'm sorry to inform you of Ambassador Marco Del Panta's absence and relative apologies, but I would like to thank the European University Institute, both for the generous support for this initiative and above all for the close partnership with our association, which has become an important aspect of our mission. The cooperation with the European University Institute was born on my proposal in 2015 and gave rise to a series of meetings, lessons, and conferences supported by the president of the CHIME, Enrique Baron Crespo and Joseph Weiler, and which today continue with the president Hans-Gert Pöttering and Renaud de Hoos. Now it's a real pleasure for me to give the floor to the director for the European Parliament Liaison Offices, Stephen Clark, who supported the Librorum event in the member states. Stephen, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, President. I'll be very brief, as you have important business to get on with. I would just like to say I'm grateful for the opportunity to come to this meeting, just say a few words. My role as the director of the European Parliament Liaison Offices has given me a grandstand view of how the pandemic rolled out over Europe over the last couple of years, and how the medical and, well, the national authorities and the medical services of every member state reacted, sometimes rather differently. And I don't think we ever had a point at which everywhere was the same. We always had to deal with divergences between the pandemic itself and indeed the way that different governments reacted to it. So there are many, many lessons to learn, and I think it's a wonderful thing that the FMA, the EUI, and the historical archives have got together to do this this important work about the gender aspects of the medical side of the pandemic. This is lessons we need to learn for the future very clearly, and I hope that the EPLOs, the liaison offices in the member states, have been able to support you in this work and have been helpful to you. That's what we're there for. I know we have a good partnership. We've had a good partnership with the former Members Association for a long time now. And I can only say that it is our sincere wish that good cooperation goes forward into the future, and that when you have these kind of events and that there is support that we can offer, be it hybrid, with the kind of online events that we've learned to do better over the last couple of years, be it hybrid events, which are a kind of a merger of offline and online, or indeed, of course, pure offline events which we can host in our premises. All of these things I hope we continue to do with you in various contexts, including the Librorum events over months and years to come. I'll just say one thing. I take every opportunity I can normally to mention the election campaign. Believe it or not, we are already thinking about the campaign that will lead up to the next European elections in 2024. We are, of course, always interested in working with all possible partners who share our message of supporting democratic engagement through the European elections. I know the FMA will be interested in working with us on that again, and I look forward to that happening. But with that said, I think I'd just like to thank you again for having invited me to say these few words, and I wish you very much all the best for your event and the continuation of this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Dr. Stephen Clark. I'd like to say some other co-authors they reach us as the ambassador, Lubna Kasim, and even I see our Giulia Calamassi, she's collaborating with us with the new book too. So it's for me a great pleasure really to give the floor to Elvira Marasco, President of Women 20.
Thank you. Grazie, grazie. I am very happy, and really I feel very good when I am with you. Yes, I am part of the W20, which is an engagement group of the G20, and last year we had the presidency. It was a big challenge, and the W20 essentially aimed to improve the female world in 360 degrees. We are not just talking about equal opportunities, but about everything what is needed to make the life of women dignified. So with this in mind and preparing for the issue to be addressed during our presidency, we have introduced gender health for the first time. It was a big challenge, as I said before, and unfortunately, the pandemic has also highlighted even more the role of women in care, and also, unfortunately, how they suffer more to reconcile work and life, especially the weakest group. Our commission named Equity in Health was a great success, and I would say especially because we called Professor Franconi to judge the commission. Certainly it was not easy because in some states we have had to change the language because the decision of the G20 are taken by consensus, and therefore negotiation is not easy at all. I can tell you, Jessica, I think she remembers very well our last day in the summit. This year, the president is Indonesian, and my colleagues have taken up the issue. Now I tell you that we will be discussing in plenary shortly. What I tell you now, as a first skimming, the topic that Indonesian decided is called Gender Equitable Health Response. It's a great victory because it's the second time that we have this topic about health in the W20 issues. We decided to underline four focus areas. One is to ensure equal access to health services and medicine for all women and girls in their diversity, eliminating all forms of discrimination towards vulnerable groups, because always we pay attention, a lot of attention to vulnerable groups. The second is to promote health prevention, care and welfare that are affordable and accessible to all women and girls. It seems easy. It seems like a word we already have heard this word. It's not so easy at all, because there are some part of the world that they still have a lot of problems. Invest in medical research and technology for women and girls that recognize differences in health issues between women and men. This should be called gender medicine, but Professor Franconi, she knows very well how it's difficult to let pass this word. And to guarantee health and care for all women and girls by ensuring sexual and reproductive health services specified by WHO 2020 are implemented to reduce maternal mortality, which is very huge in some places, and providing affordable and accessible contraception, prenatal and postnatal care. We were also helped by the fact that we, luckily, meet Monica Baldi. Monica Baldi, as I say, she's, I love her energy. Yes, when she decided to do this book, at the beginning, I did not understand really the purpose. Then I understand very well that really it was very important and has allowed us to make ourselves known even better about this issue. Now we continue with this topic because we have another round in Rome, the 11th of May. This 7th, we will talk about the topics that we discussed during our presidencies. And of course, we will talk about health, and we invited Professor Franconi and Monica Baldi to tell us about the Carta of Florence. It's something that we signed, and we want that this is a part of the W20 work, because we cannot lose what we are achieving. I can tell you another thing that is very important, that women like this, they want to do the difference. It's not easy. I always say that the first time that I heard about gender medicine was when I met about 20 years ago, Professor Franconi, and I really thought it was, well, till now, I can tell you the truth. Some people, I'm talking not the driver that I took the taxi today. No, people that really they have a position, not important position. They don't understand why we should have gender medicine. So this is why it's more important to go and forward and really to insist with these topics. And we have these excellencies, so we have to be happy about this, and we don't lose the occasion to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you to you, Elvira, really from the heart of my heart, from the deeply on my heart. First of all, it's very important what you said, and we go on with this action. So next, in 2 weeks, we'll meet in Rome. I hope that our members, FMA members, can attend too. So it'll be nice even to go on with other actions. And so thank you to you. I want to thank even some other persons that are here on the debate, Brigitte Langenhagen, members of the board, and I saw even I'm seeing even some other co-authors of the new book Present Future of Europe, Erna Hennicott, Monica Frassoni, Genovefa Gabrowska. So I thank you all, and I give the floor to Jean-Pierre Audy. Monsieur Audy, vous avez la parole.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Mesdames, Messieurs les personnalités politiques, scientifiques et culturelles, chers amis, membres de l'association, il me revient l'honneur et la joie de présenter mon amie Monica Baldi et la professeure Flavia Franconi. La présidente Monica Baldi est architecte, urbaniste, et elle a été députée européenne pendant la 4e législature sous les présidences de Klaus Hensch et de José María Gil Robles. Très engagée, elle a été membre de la commission de la culture, dont elle a assuré la vice-présidence, et également membre de la commission environnement, santé publique, protection des consommateurs, et également très attachée à la défense des femmes en étant membre actif de la commission des droits de la femme. Elle a eu une action importante à l'international en étant membre de l'accord entre l'Union européenne et les accords paritaires des États d'Afrique, Caraïbes et Pacifique, ACP. Elle est notre vice-présidente de notre association des anciens députés, elle est vice-présidente de la Croix-Rouge et elle a eu également des activités importantes sur le plan politique en Italie, son État membre, puisqu'elle a été secrétaire de la Commission des Affaires étrangères et communautaires à la Chambre des députés de 2001 à 2006. Elle est grand officier du mérite de la République italienne. Monica est une femme dynamique, dévouée, élégante, et nous avons beaucoup de chance de la voir dans l'association. Elle est à l'origine de l'ouvrage dont nous allons parler avec la professeure Flavia Franconi. Madame la professeure, je vous connais moins. Je reprendrai les éléments. Vous êtes docteur en psychiatrie, ancienne professeure titulaire de pharmacologie à l'université de Sassari en Sardaigne, où vous avez fondé le premier doctorat en pharmacologie du genre. Vous êtes coordonnatrice de la plateforme de médecine du genre du consortium interuniversitaire INBB. Vous êtes membre consultant du comité directeur du Centre universitaire d'études sur la médecine du genre à l'université de Ferrara. Vous êtes fondatrice et actuellement présidente honoraire du groupe de pharmacologie de genre de la Société italienne de pharmacologie. Vous êtes vice-présidente d'Engea, qui est une association de promotion sociale sur la santé pour le genre et le droit à la santé. Vous êtes auteur de plus de 200 publications dans des revues et ouvrages internationaux, dont plus de 60 publications sur les questions du genre, et vous êtes rédacteur en chef de 6 volumes. Merci infiniment, Madame la professeure, de l'intérêt que vous avez porté au magnifique projet de Monica. Voilà, Monica, je te redonne la parole.
Merci beaucoup, Jean-Pierre, pour les paroles très gentilles et vraiment excellent. Merci. Et je donne la parole, I give the floor to Teresa Riera Madurell. Our FMA Secretary, Teresa Riera. I don't see you, but anyhow, if there is some problem.
Sorry, are you listening to me now? I always have to put on the microphone. Thank you, Monica. Good afternoon to everybody. It is for me a real pleasure to participate in this presentation of this interesting and inspiring book. I like to start by congratulating Flavia Franconi and Monica Baldi for the excellent work they have done as editors of the book. And I also like to congratulate my colleague and friend, Jean-Pierre Audy, for the excellent and warm presentation that he just made. I like to say that I share all what he says. And I also like to thank the European University Institute and very especially to the European Union Historical Archive and to its director, Dieter Slenker, for making this book possible in collaboration with our former members association. In fact, this is an important and new line of collaboration, and Monica mentioned that we have just initiated in the framework of the deep and fruitful collaboration that the two institutions, the EUI and the former members association, has been maintaining for many years. And I think it is especially significant and satisfying for all of us that the first book arising from this collaboration is a book that shows the relevant work that from many different perspectives, Women 20 is doing in favor of gender equality and for incorporating gender issues in the G20 agenda. My congratulations then to Elvira Marasso for the excellent work she leads in Women 20. A good example of this is the so-called Florence chart, Carta de Florencia, already mentioned by Monica and also by Elvira, included in the book, where important and specific and useful recommendations for government to overcome the pandemic are given, taking into account the gender perspective. And that was adopted in the international conference already mentioned by Monica and also by Elvira, on the international conference that last September took place in the historical archive of the EUI headquarters on how to overcome COVID-19 pandemic and its consequences, organized by the Women 20 in collaboration with our association on the occasion of the Italian Presidency of G20. I like to say that the proceedings of the conference are also included in the book, although it includes many other high-level contributions written on purpose for that publication. Let me say briefly that gender perspective should always be considered when we are trying to properly address the most important global challenges we are facing in the present time. And of course, COVID-19 pandemic is one of the most important. That is what I try to highlight in my contribution to the book in relation to research and innovation, with not crucial areas for overcoming the pandemic, and where potential gender differences need to be taken into account to produce excellent and responsible research and innovation, as the scope, the impact, and the utility of the results may not be equally valid for both men and women, and it is our responsibility that results benefits the society as a whole. At that point, let me also to personally thank Flavia and very especially Monica for giving me the possibility to participate in the book. But also another important and interesting characteristic that enriches the book is its multidisciplinary approach, as it includes reflections coming from different interconnected areas, all of them crucial to overcome the pandemic. I can see in the screen many authors of these important contributions. So now, before opening the time for questions to the audience, let me give the floor to the authors that are today here with us. Maybe we can start by Vitalino Gemelli, former member of the Parliament, member of our association, and that has a contribution in the book. Vitalino, you have the floor. I saw Vitalino, eh?
Disappeared.
Isabella.
Okay, if you want, I can take the place. I'm Vitalino.
Okay, okay, you can start if you like.
Okay.
Okay.
So, thank you to everyone and everybody, and thank you to Monica Baldi. That is really fantastic in keeping all of us together, the former members, and just contributing to new projects anytime. So, and Elisabetta Fonk, our Secretary General, that is also extraordinary. So I've been a member between 2009 and 2014, but I'm a medical doctor. So I'm a medical officer on board, as you can see from the grades. And I had the opportunity to see during the pandemics on board that not even a pandemic has managed to fill the gap, the gender equality gap that is huge in the maritime sector, the maritime field. In the maritime field, we female are only 2% of the officer. And we are not treated the same way as male officers. During the pandemic, the case of the Princess Diamond has been all over TVs and newspapers, and the captain of the Princess Diamond has been defined as a hero. In reality, that was the worst case of management of a pandemic, because there were casualties, most of the passengers were infected, and the mistake was to keep all them together. At the same time, your colleague, that is me, the medical officer, Isabella, was on another world tour, and we were just keeping the world tour for 4 months and going through many countries. We didn't have one case of COVID on board, and we managed to keep all the passengers and crew safe to the final destination from Australia to Norway. And what is important to state here, talking about gender equality, is the difference in treatment by the media and also the national authorities that consider this captain like a hero, the hero captain, and they were giving honors and everything. And to the poor Isabella, that your colleague that managed to bring thousands of people alive and healthy, nothing. So this, I think, that is due to the fact that in the maritime field, females are not really considered as first officers as we are, and maybe we should do something about it. So that's why I'm thanking again Monica Baldi, that by knowing what happened, she said, well, Isabella, please write it on the book, because I think that every contribution is important. So thank you to all of you for having me here, and we will just go on fighting for gender equality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabella, for being the first even. And and I think Enrique is still with us because he's a little in a hurry. Enrique Varon, maybe you can take the floor. I cannot see you now, but if you are here, oh, great.
I can see you.
The floor is yours, Enrique.
Thank you for giving me the floor, and well, congratulations. I have contributed for this publication with a comment and to helping Monica and the printers with this cover of Dali. I'm Vice President of the Dali Foundation, and we offered this image of the Inferno of Dante. Is not a hospital, it's the Inferno. of Dante. And well, I think that it shows very clearly what happened at the beginning of the pandemic. And very short comments. The first one is that this initiative of the Librorum created by Monica Baldi, well, I had the opportunity to work with her as president of the former members association, and she came with her full dynamism, and well, and she established the link with the European Institute in Florence, and I think it has been a very fruitful collaboration. But on the content, this is normally we are, or the Librorum is presenting books about, well, memories, memoir, recallings of the past in Europe. Well, this is a book about a burning challenge that we share, not only in Europe, but all over the world. And I think this is a very interesting cooperation, and together with the Women G20, because we are not talking only about Europe, we are talking about a global challenge. And my main thesis is that health is a public good all over the world. This is not just a challenge or, well, a question that can be solved at the level of a country or of a continent or a group of countries. And this is very important. And I think that, well, this is one of the reasons for this book to be an innovative and interesting, because we are not talking only about the classical political debate. We are talking about a global challenge and how we can all together overcome the pandemic. I have seen the attendance of this meeting. Well, the majority of the members of the people who are here are women. This is a very interesting sign. And if you allow me, and I will be very short, the driving force of this response to the pandemic is to consider health as a public good. It's not my statement, is the statement of the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in economics, very close, 10 years ago, Elinor Ostrom, for her analysis of economic governance, especially the commons. And the definition she gave is very interesting, because this applies to all mankind. Is public goods are both non-excludable, impossible to keep those who have not paid for a good from consuming it, and no rival rules. Whatever individual A consumes does not limit the consumption by others. This is, well, the best definition of the fight against the pandemic. Because you are human, you have the right to have the vaccine and to have the possibility to overcome this. And I think this is the main message that we can give, and that this book has to give, not to, well, Europeans, but to all people all over the world, especially, and the driving force that leads it is women. Thank you, Monica, and thank you, Flavia.
Thank you very much, Enrique, for your support always. You are always there. Who is the next? Maybe Jessica, maybe Pasqualina. I see many authors, but who is taking the floor? Pasqualina, are you here?
Ça va? Vous m'entendez?
Thank you. Thank you very
Merci.
much.
Merci beaucoup. Moi, je suis très heureux d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. Et je voudrais remercier Monica pour nous avoir contactés. Et je suis très content d'avoir participé avec une petite contribution à la possibilité d'élaboration de cette publication. Et moi, je dois être sincère avec vous et vous dire que moi-même, je n'avais pas fait attention à la question que soit dans la santé, soit dans la possibilité de gérer la pandémie, il y avait une spécificité féminine. Et Monica, avec les contributions aussi des experts, a nous porté à approfondir cet aspect. Et j'ai découvert beaucoup de choses que je ne savais pas. Et c'est très important, pas pour moi que je suis plus dans les institutions, mais je crois pour qui aujourd'hui représente le peuple dans le Parlement, c'est très important d'avoir cette conscience de la diversité, aussi dans la recherche, aussi dans la pharmacologie, aussi dans la gestion des pandémies. On a tout vu que les femmes ont été en première ligne dans cette situation dramatique. Vous savez que l'Italie était le premier pays dans le monde occidental et dans l'Europe qui a dû faire face à l'agression pandémique. Et on a vu combien de femmes ont donné tout leur courage, toute leur sapience, soit dans l'organisation de la santé publique, soit dans l'organisation de la collectivité privée, en commençant pour la famille. Et je crois que le petit travail que nous tous ensemble avons fait dans la possibilité d'élaborer et de mettre ensemble cette réflexion dans les livres a donné une possibilité aussi à l'Europe d'être à côté des citoyennes et surtout des femmes. Et je crois que la diffusion de cet ouvrage peut être très utile et je suis très, très contente d'avoir eu la possibilité de contribuer à ça avec un petit élaboration et que maintenant on a la possibilité de changer avec vous. Et moi, j'ai fait les salutations à tous les collègues qui ont conduit avec moi cette formidable expérience qu'était le Parlement européen. Et merci encore, Monica, pour nous solliciter parce que chacun de nous est dans notre couche et parfois c'est très important d'avoir des stimulations pour pouvoir participer et nous sentir encore une communauté qui travaille encore ensemble. Merci à tous.
Thank you very much, Pasqualina. It's very nice to see and to listen to you again. And now I will give the floor to Fabio Fampani. Fabio, would you like to take the floor? Well, I think at the moment he is not here. So then, Jessica, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the European Parliament, former members associations. Congratulations for the excellent work and book, and FMA President Monica Baldi, and Stephen Clark, Director for the European Parliament Liaison Offices at European Parliament, and Marco Del Panta, Secretary General of the European University and Institute in Florence. Special thanks and congratulations for Elvira Marasco, the President of W20 Italy, for me to participating in to be the author. And congratulations, Jean-Pierre Audy, FMA Treasurer, and presentation of all of this book is very, very amazing. And definitely we will write another book for contribution, especially for the G20. So I'm the head delegation of Indonesia to Women 20 Italy, the official engagement group of the G20. I think that the publication of this book, Overcoming the Pandemic, is very important for us women to realize the opportunity of women in the era of pandemic. This is a book that is very amazing with all authors from different backgrounds, ambassadors, activists, and diplomats. It is successfully support and impacting the G20 agenda and supporting women in pandemic, and it's very much appreciated. During the pandemic, the role of caregiver exposed the woman to an increased risk of contracting COVID-19, comprising the vast majority of healthcare workers, and they're women. And women were on the front line, caring for patients and accounted for 72% of all COVID-19 cases among healthcare professionals in the region and all over the country probably. And it is also impacting the women entrepreneurship. With our organization, we will try to support women entrepreneurship as COVID-19 continues to affect lives and livelihoods around the world. We can already see that the pandemic and its economic fallout are having a regressive effect on gender equality. And one reason for this greater effect on women is that the virus is significantly increasing the burden of unpaid care, which is disproportionately carried by women. This, among other factors, mean that women's employment is dropping faster than average, even accounting for the fact that women and men work in different sectors. As noted, the industry mix and labor market specifics explain just 1/4 of the gender gap in vulnerability to job losses in the pandemic. So we wouldn't let all the women to lose hope in this pandemic. This is what the book is about. And I think it's very interesting that all of us work together from all different countries and there's no limitation of the region. So another factor could be COVID-19's disproportionate impact on female entrepreneurship, including women-owned micro enterprises in developing countries, where such enterprises account for a high share of female labor force participation or women-led companies. Now the pandemic is almost over, and we believe women will be successfully overcoming this pandemic, and we will continue to write other beneficial books for all the people around the world to support and help people, and especially the international organizations. With all of this, our concerns are very important for people's lives. We need to work more on supporting the women entrepreneurship. Together we fight all around the world. We believe that we are women and strong to continue our work and obligation to make a positive impact around the world without the limitation of the region. We wish to continue to contribute and work side by side with the European Parliament former members associations for the better future, and of course, to strengthen the multilateral relationship between Europe and Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for staying with us. And now I will try to give the floor to a man, because I try to make the zip rule. And I see Vitalino, and I also can see Carlos Enrique, who is taking the floor first. Carlos Enrique Rodriguez Jimenez, would you like to say something? Great.
Okay, now?
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be with you. And I have only to say that it's so important to stand out that the women has a lot of incidents after menopause overall that drive to a lot of difficulties, not very important many times, but it is necessary to focus the style of life, lifestyle, that I call in my book biostyle, and immunonutrition. You know that also the use of anovulatories interferes so much in the metabolism of liver and also in the microbiota in the gut, the good. Then I think that it's so important to take care of these very simple things, that is not only the weight of meals, the meal, also is so important the mental situation that acts so much over the 70% of our immune system, that is the good, the microbiota. And then I say that the women have a lot of interferences for this reason. After menopause overall, you have a lot of charge in this circuit, good pancreas, liver. Then I repeat again the title of my work about this is to be precise in the biostyle overall in two segments: food and physical and mental activity. You have a lot of positive influences in the world, and it's a pleasure to work, to drive, to help this behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carlos Enrique. And now I will give the floor to Julia Calamasi, because has very was very important for the coming out the book. Julia, you have the floor.
Good afternoon to all of you. It is a real pleasure to be here. I would like, of course, to thank Vice President Baldi and Professor Franconi for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And of course, I would like also to thank the European Parliament Former Members Association, Women20, the Historical Archives of the European Union, the European University Institute, and all the authors who contributed by providing their precious texts. For me, it was a real honor to be able to collaborate into this project, which led to the making of the book. And I must say that I deeply appreciated each text, as each of them allows us to analyze the theme of overcoming the pandemic from different points of view. And the experience, the expertise, the ability of each author allows an analysis from different perspectives, thus making it unique by giving relevance also to the gender perspective in order to guarantee real equity. The gender approach in this sense is in fact crucial, both in dealing with today's reality and in developing answers also for those of tomorrow's, developing in this sense a perspective that also includes the female dimension. The gender approach is so a fundamental tool to investigate the past and the present reality characterized by the COVID-19 crisis, but also to respond to the social, economical, and political realities as a whole. Although even today we cannot say to be in a condition of total resolution of the crisis due to COVID-19, I believe that all the opinions, views, perspectives expressed in the pages of the book are extremely precious in order to structure an effective and efficient restart. And in this sense, I believe that the Carta de Florencia, which you can find published in the book, is an extremely useful document. In fact, it provides concrete and effective recommendations and proposals to take this necessary step forward through a more equal society, which can effectively consider also the necessities of women, which are, of course, as important as those of men. And I would like to sincerely thank you all to you, and so thank you very much again for this awesome opportunity.
Thank you very much, Julia. And now I will give the floor to Ambassador Lubna Kasim.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone who has participated today during the session. And also, of course, I can't begin without thanking Monica and also Elvira for such a great initiative. When Monica approached me and she said about her very exciting initiative, it was really no-brainer, because it was very important to be able to contribute as a multilateral diplomat sitting out of Geneva. And of course, with the WHO being in our backyard, of course, a lot of my work in the past 2 years has been on health diplomacy, among many other things. So it really was a privilege and honor to contribute to such an important initiative where we've seen how women have had it really hard. Now, I don't want to advocate that the men had it any easier. The pandemic was hard for all of us across the different continents, across the different geographies, including the old and the young. But I think with the rise of domestic abuse at home and violence at home with the pandemic, but also on health issues, and of course with the healthcare, with nurses, a lot of the female nurses being on the front line. So it was.
Something, are you listening to the speaker? Something is wrong with the system now. Elisabetta,
yes, I think there was a connection problem, I guess.
Okay.
So perhaps it would be good for the moment to give the floor to the next speaker.
Okay.
To continue and see when.
Okay, let's do like this. Who will be the next?
So I see.
Anyone?
Yes. I see that there is also Eleonora Pecchioli, but I don't know whether she's because she's for the moment muted. So no. That's it. That's why. Then I would say that I see Mrs. Gabrowska. She's not only a member.
I think that, sorry, Elisabetta, but I think the connection with ambassador is again. We can see her.
Ah, great.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't know what happened with technology, but I'm glad that I've been able to reconnect. But just leaving from where I left, I think it was a very important initiative, very timely initiative to really cover contributions from different individuals across different disciplines. I mean, you had practitioners, you had the parliament members, and of course, it was really important to just share the UAE's experience during this pandemic. And I think really the question for all of us, since we're all connected today, is what is next? And how do we prevent the various sufferings that women suffer during this pandemic? So next time round, I mean, we really, none of us hope that there is another pandemic, but if there is another pandemic, how do we prevent and how do we really learn from the lessons that we've learned during this pandemic? Really, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Monica, once again. Thank you, Alvera. Thank you, everyone who have contributed to this book and to this initiative, and really looking forward to working together where we can really ensure that that the women's issues, women's concerns are really taken care of and really at the heart of everything. Thank you so much. Greetings.
Thank you very much. And now I think Genoveva Grabowska, you mentioned that, okay, I can see you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I'm visible and you can hear me. Is everything okay with my devices? So, okay. So I would like to start to congratulate all of you who was involved in this project. It's really important, very important for not only for women but for all of us. I like today what Enrique Baron said. He mentioned that health, this is a public good which is accessible for all of us, not only for Europeans but also for all persons in the world. I would like to add that we are talking about pandemic time, very difficult one, where women were very important to solve many problems. But I would like to draw your attention on the different situation which is now close to the European Union, almost approaching us, almost at our borders. What women which are involved, which live during the wartime should do in each what mode, in what time, how we can help them. What I would like to stress, to show you the Polish situation with refugees. We have now in Poland almost 2 million of refugees, and 92% of them, they are women and children. This is specific situation. So many women with children in different age. Some of them are very harmed by wartime, not only physically but psychologically. And what should we do to stop this situation, and in what way we can help them? I know it's not in connection with pandemic, but it's also a problem. Maybe this is a topic for further discussions and further book, I don't know, because the situation is not temporary. It's not so easy to solve it within one country and within few weeks or few months. The women who are now in Poland, they try to organize themselves. We help them, of course, how only we can. Children are at schools, not everyone, not every child. But what is the worst? The situation of women at place in Ukraine. Imagine those who came to Poland, they have memories so awful that it's hard to believe. Not only strengths, not only murders, not only rapes, but everything together. It's an everyday situation for women. And what I think about it, of course, we should help the women who are in such a situation, but we should also address to women, for instance, in Russia, who are mothers, who are wives of soldiers, who fight in Ukraine, because they can stop the men who fight not to do such awful things. I think that we should do more. It is my attention. I'd like to draw your attention to that problem, and everything should be taken as a whole, as a right to dignity, women's right to dignity, because not only health is important, but also the dignity of every man and woman, but especially for women, it's the most important. And it is the problem which I'd like to show you, to address to you today, taking this meeting concerning pandemic as a floor to address my sorry, I'm very moved because I was talking with so many of them that it's hard to transmit it in a very calm way. So if we can in any way to do something to address to those who may change the situation, to help women in Ukraine and those who are in the European Union states, we should do it. I think so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Genoveva, for your reflections that we have to have very present in such a difficult moment for Europe. I cannot see any other author in the screen. You just let me know if I miss someone, some of the authors. I don't think I am missing anyone. So let me to say to you, thank you very much to all that has taken the floor, not only for your excellent contributions here, but also for your excellent contributions in the book. And now it's time for questions. Questions to the editors of the book, Flavia Franconi and Monica Baldi. In order to have as much time as possible, if you agree, we will formulate all the questions first, and after I will give the floor first to Flavia and after to Monica to answer all of them. Please just write your hands or use the little hand the Zoom platform offers for that purpose at the bottom of the screen. And well, using the advantage of being moderator, I will be the first. In fact, I have two questions, one for each. Flavia, first of all. Flavia, I'd like to know a little more about the Florence chart and about W20. Now you have adopted the chart of full of important recommendations for governments, but how are you planning the follow-up of the chart? How you are planning to follow up the fulfilling of the chart recommendations, and how we all can contribute to make reality the important content of the chart? This will be my question for Flavia, and now the question for Monica. For Monica, as Jean-Pierre remind us, you are architect, and this is a field where gender perspective seems very important. We often have listened that the design of a city or a house do not correspond with the real needs, because they are mainly designed by men when the real main users are in fact women. That was maybe even more evident during the lockdown of the pandemic. I suppose this is an important challenge now in your profession, isn't it? Well, I would like to know your opinion and your thoughts about that. And now who is asking for the floor? Let me know.
I think that I will take first the floor for this to reply to you.
Okay, go ahead then.
The Chart of Florence is not just a rapid solving problem, but is an ideal, but not just an ideal, but we want to produce, to build, that we wrote on a Charter of Florence. First of all, we in the Charter of Florence, we say that the health system should be universal and should be free for everybody. And the other things that is coming from the Charter of Florence is that the health is not just a question of a health system, but it is a question that required intersectional activity, and means that health and the welfare system should work together, because it is now well known that poverty, for example, is one of the main trigger of bad health. So what we want to wrote, and we believe in that, and not I believe only myself, but all commission, health commission of W20 believe is that you to have a good health and an appropriate health for women, for men, for children, for boys, girls, and for other gender identities require all politics. And that is, I think, is and that all politics means. I think that Monica can give you more information about that. Require also a lot of implementation and multidisciplinarity, because if you have no water, you have no health. For example, and another thing that is very important to underline, that at the moment there are some, I mean, that there are no awareness about, we have no knowledge about the physiology of our population, of our female population. That because till now the women was invisible, and the medicine and health has been are still misogynist. So we have to implement the study on study investigation and on women health and
but not only on women health, but on children health, for example, or for example, another point that is quite is a quite lack of knowledge is the difference among the different ethnies that are in the world. For example, the most that we know about medicine is for Caucasian people, while for other people we have no knowledge about this point. So we have to stop to think that that health and or care depend only by biological essence of a people, of a person, but the health depends from many things, depend from religion, depends from where you live, because if you live where you work, and then this point should be studied. I mean, that just for some example, but we have to study these other things that have a great influence on health and medicine that now are always forgetting. Nevertheless, that gender medicine was born in 1951. At the moment, we are at the two survey showed that we have not made any significant improvement about the knowledge on human health. I think that we want to make a revolution where the women and men, children of each ethnicity and race should have the best health and the best and the most appropriate medicine. So in doing that, you have changed your mind. And for example, it's time to stop to give the same dosage of drugs to women and to men, because women are weightless, are smaller than men, and they are over-medicated, and this leads to a numerous number of side effects of adverse drug effects. So we have to change the mind and see that one people is unique, and then we have to go to the personalized medicine and the personalization of medicine or the care that is not complete if you don't consider not only the biological aspect, but also the gender aspect that is very complicated to study. And then we ask in Church of Florence to put a financial support for this kind of investigation, and it is time that the government put this financial support, because otherwise it's not possible to go on. And another thing that is very important is to increase the support to the researchers that investigate a gender aspect, because the research in this field is the most expensive, either in terms of economic cost or in terms of time. So, as you know, now the researchers are measured, are evaluated by the number of the papers. And if you need a lot of time to make research, you have less papers. So you, when you, the researcher, the gender research, have a lower value for the implicity, for the longer duration of the research. So we ask for this kind of things, and we cannot have we cannot overcome in the pandemic if we don't consider the gender aspect, because as you know, everybody know that the COVID lethality is bigger in the men than in the women. Less known is the fact that the long COVID is more severe in the women and more frequent in the women than the men. So, but as there is not the lethality of the disease, but there is a consequence of the disease. You know, COVID, the lockdown, not just, we have a COVID disease and a lockdown disease. And we have a lot of a problem of mental health, especially in young people, as a consequence of long lockdown that we have to support in the previous years. So we want to give information about this point. We wrote how we have to do, but we can also want to explain these our ideas to the government, and we are going to present the Charter of Florence. Now is still in Italy, but if you like, we can also present the Charter of Florence in Brussels, but we can go everywhere to present the Charter in Florence, because the first things that we have to do is to implement the need to apply gender medicine in overcome the consequence of epidemic. I hope too long.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Flavia, and congratulations again for your excellent work you are doing. Now, before giving the floor to Monica, well, I can see one of our most important members of the association. I am very glad to see you, Brigitte Langedagen. Who else? Well, so then I will give to you the floor, Monica. But before, just let me to say that I thank you very much for relying on me, to be the moderator of this session. And especially thank you, I really want to thank you for your interesting and excellent contributions to that debate. And now, Monica, you have the floor.
Teresa, thank you to you, first of all. You are even a co-author, and so you said something very important in the book. But I want to thank all the co-authors that they spoke today. For instance, Dr. De Martini, she spoke about the different treatment for women, but even I think she agrees with what Flavia Franconi said about the device for, I mean, different device and different way even to treat the pandemic and how to organize all the work, the staff in their field. I'd like to thank, okay, for sure, Enrique Baron Crespo. And he said something, I want to add something what he said, because he was speaking about the cover of the book. As you know very well, this is a cover, and this is a fantastic painting of Salvador Dali. And I thank really President Baron Crespo as Vice President of Salvador Dali Foundation, and Montse Aguer, the director of Dali Museum, Gala Salvador Dali Foundation, that she wrote even in the book, but she said some words, because not only they gave us the opportunity to put the painting in the book, and as we said, we decided with Flavia Franconi, we wrote a test of Inferno di Dante Alighieri, fatti non foste a viver come bruti, ma per seguir virtute e conoscenza. That's we did in, you know, it was the anniversary of Dante Alighieri, the 700th anniversary of the death of Dante. And for us, it was very important to give this message, because we think we have to go inside and to be very honest, even to in this area between pandemic and post-pandemic, to create a sense of certainty, of certain. So we provoke with this painting, fantastic painting. We thank Dali Foundation, but I think it'll be very. We think it'll be very important to explain to the people. We have to go on in the research, in the science, in the culture, and as Montse Aguer said, for us, art and culture, they are playing a fundamental role in our lives. And in this moment, exactly, culture could be our power, and we have to do a lot, because we have to go on with this initiative and to go over. Because in this moment where people they're not really, I mean, not strong, they're psychologically fragile. It's very important to go through some an action to understand the role of culture and art. But let's go on in, I mean, I have just a question from Teresa, but I'm solicited from the other intervention, as Pasqualina Napoletano said. We have to have the conscience in women, and to understand what is science and research, to go on in this target, to go on with this action. But let me say thanks to Jessica Wijaja, and to give her the best wishes for the new presidency. You have this year as Indonesia, the G20 presidency. So for us, it's very important to go on with this action. As you've said, we can continue this action and the book. So with Flavia and Elvira, for sure. Elvira, she agrees for sure in this important network we have all together. So for us to continue this action from Italy to Indonesia this year, will be very important. And then even Dr. Carlos Enriquez Rodriguez, he goes on with the microbiota. And I have to tell you, Enrique, your contribution was very, I mean, he had a successful, even here in Florence, where I am, because they think it's very important to go to understand our body, but what we eat, what kind of food, what kind of alimentation, what is our way to live. Julia, for sure, she collaborated in all the book, and she's going on with a new book, so thanks a lot. But Ambassador Kassim said something very important, because she speaks about the diplomacy, the role of diplomacy, and the importance of prevention. That's why with Flavia Franconi, we decide this recommendation, because we think we have to go on the prevention of the action, and even to speak exactly in equity. So for us, it's important equity. And then I have to thank Genoveva Gabrowska, and she described the drastic situation in Ukraine, and the immigration you are having for us is something, Genoveva, is touching us on the deep of our heart. And I think we have to make all efforts to face what you said, and you're right, we have to continue in the action, and don't forget to take care of everybody and of everything. So I know now in Poland you are living a terrible moment, even for the gas, etc. But I think all together, if Europe is unit, we can go on with to find a solution, at least to go for a peaceful moment too. Let me say something about the book before replying to Teresa. The multidisciplinary reflection reported in the book on the theme of overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic have highlighted the dense network of interconnected realities, which does not focus exclusively on the health sector, but strongly involves other central areas, such as the political, institutional one, economic, social, and cultural. We are currently in a post-pandemic context aimed at implementing decisive policies, but among the various measures necessary to get out of this dark period, we must also contemplate tools aimed at healing situations that have long been marked by difficulties and obstacles. It is essential to act correctly and concretely to establish effective gender equity, evaluating the different reality also from the female point of view, and thus structuring a society that protects everyone across the gender spectrum in every sector of life, freed from traditional schemes and by now anachronistic. We therefore consider it essential to present the Carta de Florencia, as a lot of you said, that is a result of careful work carried out together with Professor Franconi, which sets forth the recommendation addressed to the G20 governments. The Carta de Florencia is presented precisely in this city, Florence, where one of the most important revolutions of knowledge originated. In fact, here, science, technology, and art came together, and Galileo laid the foundation of the scientific method in the discourses and mathematical demonstration relating to new science. Today, the challenge is to design innovative policies capable of creating a world in which gender should be just memories, considering that the consequence of isolation due to the pandemic diverged between men and women. It's clear that the direct and indirect psychological and social effects of COVID-19 are pervasive and could affect mental health, taking into account the important difference in the impact of the economic crisis among women, young people, and people with lower education levels. It becomes essential to assess the consequence of fiscal measures on health based on a gender approach that allows new allocation and revenue policies projected towards greater equity. The design of resilient, innovative cities, Teresa, this is your question, and I'm answering, is very important. The design of innovative cities and infrastructure must be done using adequate and equitable parameters with inclusive, safe, and sustainable urban settlements suitable for both women and men. As Flavia said, for instance, it's impossible to have equity and to give the opportunity for women and men to work in a city where women has a lot of difficult even to go across the street. So it's very important even to take in account all the design and even to understand what is the function of the city. The quality of life, safety and services must be guaranteed by promoting equitable access to the health, water and energy system, implemented with economic, reliable, eco-sustainable and modern system. Also, in compliance with the sustainable development goals of the United Nations 2030 agenda and the common vision of women and men. It's very important for us to go on with this action and even to understand how it's necessary to have, in this case, in the city, the design done from architecture or from professionals, but first of all, politics has to answer in the measure we decide together with women and men. So I think this book is one of the first beginning, but for us the Carta de Florencia, as Flavia said, is going to be for us a focus, a point, and we think this recommendation addressed to the government has to take care of even the step they're going to do. I think, Flavia, I have to tell you the truth, that in this moment, our Carta de Florencia has to take in account even of other steps. But in this case, we have to take a look, to consider what's going on in the government. So it's very important what Indonesia is going to do, and it's very important that Indonesia take care of what we said and to relaunch, to give again with strong this point. And that's why I thank Elvira Marasco, because Women 20, the group is doing a lot in this field. I think we had a fantastic discussion today, a debate even very interesting. I thank everybody, but dear all, I make the conclusion in this moment. The publication is entitled Overcoming the Pandemic. This is what I believe we can acknowledge at this very moment. We are able to travel again. We were able to decrease the number of serious cases and hospitalization in intensive care. But above all, we were able to keep the European Union united in one of the worst crises we ever had in the world war second. The role of science and research was fundamental to overcome the pandemic and we shall not forget, as Pasqualina said, we need to continue to invest in research in our health system to be prepared in case of possible future crises. The European Union in particular needs to continue working on the establishment of a well-functioning system to be activated rapidly in these circumstances, providing a common and coordinated response. There are lessons to be learned from what happened over the last 2 years. I want to close this event by reminding us the tragic situation and humanitarian crisis we continue to observe in Ukraine. As Genoveva said, the attack of Russia to Ukraine started on 23rd February, more than 2 months ago. Next day will be crucial to see how the situation will evolve. Again, the European Union, with its member states, demonstrated the capacity to remain united in this dramatic situation and take difficult decisions. We need to continue to be firm, but also continue to look for a peace solution and make use of all our diplomatic means and abilities to look for peace. Allow me to thank again, also on behalf of President Pöttering, who unfortunately had difficulties in reaching Brussels today, all those who participated in this Librorum event, and in particular all the speakers, the esteemed authors of the book, and the secretariat coordinated by Elisabetta Fong. In particular, I greet my friends and colleagues, former members. We look forward to seeing you again of our Librorum event on 1st June for the presentation of our second FMA publication entitled Present Future of Europe. It includes our proposal for the Conference on the Future of Europe that we wish to continue discussing with a large audience. Our work for a better and united Europe goes on. I wish you all a nice evening and declare the event closed. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you to you.